Hi, my name's Maddie and I'm a suicide prevention advisor at HOPELINEUK. UK. At Papyrus Prevention of Young Suicide, we're passionate around smashing the stigma surrounding suicide. One topic in society that does have a lot of stigma attached to it too is debt. So today we're joined by Ryan from Citizens Advice St Helens, who's going to talk to us more about debt, where to get help with debt, and how debt can impact people. Thank you so much for joining us, Ryan. Firstly, I'm just wondering, how often do you come across debt impacting people's mental health?
Quite often, unfortunately. I think the statistic we often look at is 1 in 2 adults with debt also have a mental health problem. And I think that statistic is quite accurate from the clients we see who report mental health concerns. And to be fair, I think you would do. It is anxiety provoking. So it's not a surprise that the two issues are linked. And I think what we also find is debt isn't normally an isolated issue.
Absolutely, it must be incredibly anxiety inducing to receive those letters through saying that you owe money and not really knowing where to go with it, especially if you do have other things going on as well and it isn't that isolated issue. Can you tell us a little bit more about the types of issues that might be contributing to debt or that debt might be linked with?
If it's the Citizens Advice Service, the debt advice side is one part of things. It may be the case that a lot of the time that it's an income issue. And you can then be signposted to a benefits specialist. You can look at, is there something that you're entitled to which you're not claiming? It's not just coming to the Citizens Advice and we'll sort it. It's you come into that realm of seeking advice. There's other areas where you can be signposted to. It might be a housing issue or an employment issue. So once you seek advice on one thing, we usually find that there are other issues which you can help with as well. And if we can't, there'll be some other agency which can assist you with it.
So it's really positive that somebody coming in for advice would be able to get advice for other things as well. I think something that's really impacted people, especially this past year, is COVID-19 and all of the restrictions. Have you found that that's impacting people's issues with debt?
Yes, I think it has impacted debt issues, unfortunately. It's mainly the result of what you would expect, people with reduced income and unemployment. But what I'd say, first of all, is that there's two groups of people, I think, that we're going to come across, which is people may have had problem debts already. But you've also got another group of people as well, unfortunately. You may not have had advice before and not dealt with problem debts before, or maybe not even had debt in the first place. Because of what's happened, they're now dealing with it for the first time. The advice sector is preparing for these knock-on effects of the restrictions and the pandemic, and that there's other schemes which are now becoming more formalised and creditors are more responsive. So now will be the time to get the advice, because there's probably more options and ways for dealing with debt than there ever been before.
So that's really reassuring to hear that there's still debt advice options available during the pandemic, and actually that there are more solutions than ever. If there is somebody watching this right now who's having issues with debt, what's one practical bit of advice that you would give to them?
I think some practical things you could do, just one would be, just start to look at the paperwork. Don't throw the correspondence away. Keep it safe, and if you can, have a look at it. You can see who's it come from, what date was it sent. We can at least then get an idea of where we're up to. I think what's most important of all is to make sure you look for a free and a reputable advice provider. Even the creditors, to be fair, do tend to signpost to those free debt advice providers.
If you are having issues with debt, it's about getting that free advice. Going to appointments and talking about debt, I imagine, could be really overwhelming for people. Can you give anybody any advice about what might happen in that appointment that might reassure them?
Person's situation is different, and what option is right for them is not always right for the other person. It's why it's worthwhile getting that detailed advice. But I think what comes out from all appointments is, and it's the best part of my job, I would say, is the feedback. It's usually of, I feel better for having had the advice, now I'm better informed. It's relieved a lot of my anxiety. It's a weight off my mind. They're the kind of comments I get after every appointment, really. And one part of that is because they have someone to talk to, and the tagline of Citizen Advice is normally independent, impartial, confidential, which sums it up quite well, but I'd add non-judgmental as well. it's just a relief for people to talk to someone who's neutral, who's not involved in the intricacy of their case, who can just listen. But the other part of that is we're taking some practical steps to resolve the problem. It isn't just to speak about the issue, but what can we do today to put a plan in place to make it better?
Thank you so much, Ryan, for joining us to talk about debt today. If you're thinking of suicide or you're concerned that somebody is, please contact Hopeline UK for free, confidential and anonymous support.